Welcome to A Veteran's Voice. I'm Noga Kesler, Veterans Voices correspondent, and today we have with us Adam Williams. Adam served in the United States Army and is currently the Veteran Service Officer in Cook County, Oregon. Adam served from 1999 to 2006 as part of the 10th Mountain Division and deployed to 3 tours, one to Kosovo and 2 tours in Iraq. Welcome, Adam.
Good morning.
Good morning. Maybe we could start with sharing a little bit on how you got to join the military, a little bit about your military experience.
Sure. I grew up in Pennsylvania. I grew up shooting and, competed with shooting and wanted to work into the military and try to get on one of the shooting teams. So I figured the best way to do that would be through the infantry. Even though I could have went to just about anything, I chose that. And my family thought I was crazy for doing it. So I went in the Army, soon found out that things were not all the way at, we always think it's going to be. And it was a culture shock, to say the least, coming from a very rural background. From there, my first year, I had a deployment to West Point to help train the cadets there. And shortly after that, we got the mission to Kosovo. While prepping for Kosovo, 9/11 happened. And we begged and begged and begged for our unit to go to Afghanistan. And unfortunately, since we were still slotted for Kosovo, they didn't let us. And we saw our neighbors go instead. There's always another plan. And after we got back from Kosovo, we ended up finding out through a lot of the rumors that we were getting ready for Iraq. We were going to be a part of the invasion. But we had a really unique mission for that. And that was going to be, we were getting attached to a special forces unit. So we were a part of Joint Special Operations Task Force North, Task Force Viking. And from that, next place I found myself was in Romania, waiting for it to kick off. We saw the shock and awe campaign start there, and we moved in from the north and came down shortly thereafter. Spent about 6 or 8 months there and came home, and we were during that time we were doing some of the different normal cycle stuff, funeral details and training and such, and preparing to go back to West Point again. Luckily, I found a program where I could try out for the Army pistol team. So I was super stoked, went down to Fort Benning, and my entire job was to shoot pistol all day, which was awesome. They gave us some really cool stuff to work with. And after about a month of that, out of the 3-month program, I got a phone call that I didn't want to get. Our mission changed. We're no longer going to West Point. We're going back to Iraq. We went back for Operation Iraqi Freedom 2.5, as we called it. We were a contingency force after an April uprising in Sadr City. And that was our main thing that we focused on when we went there. We arrived, June of 2004. And within a month and a half, we were in Sadr City in August. And that's when we took our first casualties, unfortunately. Then the war became real. And it was very, very different. Very different for us. So we were there for 4 months. We took the fight to them as infantry do, and did our jobs very well. They didn't know what to do with us. We spent the remainder of our time in Iraq, in Baghdad and around Baghdad, until July of 2005. I got out in 2006 in February. They were slotted to go back for a 3rd tour, and I said I was good. Not on a temp fate anymore. And that's when I left and went back to Pennsylvania.
And after you got back, where'd you put your focus?
Well, when I got back, I hadn't really adjusted to, you adjust to military life, you adjust to being back in the States just from deployment. Now I have to adjust to life. So I basically told my family I was going to be on vacation for the next 6 months.
Mhm.
And I took on unemployment, and actually ended up starting school a month in, because I was bored. You can only make so many flower beds, you can only do so much. And so I started college. Um, and let's see, my focus was on business, in security. Uh,
Okay.
the fall of 2006, I moved down to Columbus, Ohio, and got a job doing security work there.
Mhm.
Nothing extravagant. I was just a security guard, but I was also doing that full time plus school full time. And I was there till 2017. So I was there for about 10-ish years, um, before I moved again. And it was very interesting during that time. Um, doing security hit a point where I was getting thrown in a lot of less than thrilling situations, and I pretty much had enough and lucked into my first role. I had found this job with the county because everybody, wants to work for, you know, a public service like that because there was good benefits.
Mhm.
And it was as a veteran service officer. And I'm like, well, this sounds cool. I have no idea what it is, but it sounds like a cool thing to try out. And luckily I got the job and found out how much help I was going to be giving them. Um, in that state, we would do not only claims with the VA and appeals and such, but we would also be able to do emergency financial assistance. And as an individual, I could grant up to $2,600 on the spot. The
Wow.
food assistance, electric, rent, mortgage, whatever it was. And you can turn a person's life around with $2,600 very quickly. And I did that for a couple years. And then I came on another opportunity, which I couldn't pass up. And that's when I applied to work for a congressional office as their veteran liaison.
Wonderful.
Um, I did that for about a year and a half. I went from working for one county to 15 counties,
Mhm.
in just helping any problems that they would have had with the VA, with Department of Defense. Um, it, it didn't matter. It was the congressman's voice. That's what I was using essentially, to get stuff done and take care of things. And he himself is a current one-star general in the Ohio National Guard. So he understood and had a passion for veterans as well and highly supported them. Um, then I moved, and I took a big move because of a personal relationship, and moved to Oregon, entirely across the country, 2,000 miles, and struggled a little bit to find work. And then I got lucky again and became the veteran service officer for Crook County, where I'm currently at now.
So would you say, Adam, that when left the military and then started, what were some of the things you think that you learned through your military experience that you were able to carry on, that you wanted to carry on with you to where you are right now?
One thing that's definitely come up and has been a very big drive for me is just service.
Mhm.
Serving others. There's no greater feeling than being able to help someone. It's unimaginable. It's so indescribable just to see the look on their face when you can help them out of a jam, or just help them fill out some paperwork that they didn't know how to fill out, and they came to you because you're the one that knows best. and just to have that confidence in you, even though you might fumble through it, they trust you, and that's a big deal. But yeah,
Absolutely.
service is a big thing. Um, Something else, there's probably two other things I brought with me that I carry and um, try to push in every facet. And that's, either leaders eat last. I always try to, if I'm taking care of folks, you don't always have to be in charge to be a leader. You let people, you take care of folks. Um, if even just friends and family functions, I'm one of the last ones to go get my plate because I want them to get what they need. Even though I might not get that last piece of pie or whatever it is, they got it, and that's more important to me. My needs are not at the top. And the other thing I always try to pull with me is leading from the front. I can ask people to do stuff that I haven't done myself. And so I try to do things first. And if it doesn't work, adjust it, try it again, and just keep pushing that. And then I can ask them to do it because I've already been there. And I can be like, it's just what a leader does, Um,
Yeah.
See and have them have that confidence that, that you should know what you're talking about since you've already been there. Then, people don't question it. They'll just they'll follow you anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, having been coast to coast and served in the East Coast and now on the West Coast as a veteran service officer, mostly rural counties, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Columbus was, so I worked in Columbus. It was the third largest county in the state.
Okay. Yeah.
So very different from there to here. On average, I would be seeing 4 to 6 people a day. And I can't see that per week now.
Okay.
But it also lets me have a higher quality now and focus more on their needs and let me do more. And our boss, between myself and my coworker, we are allowed to do more and participate in other things where I wouldn't have been able to before.
Maybe you could share some of those. You had mentioned the Veterans Council to me. Maybe you could share a little bit about work in the community that's available that you do.
Absolutely. So yeah, one of the things that we are definitely a big part of is the Central Oregon Veterans Council. Central Oregon as a whole is comprised of 3 counties. The council is comprised of the veteran service offices, nonprofits, for-profits, pretty much anything that's veteran focused. They're there, which includes even the DA's office and different folks like that could have their hands in there somewhere. I myself, I'm the vice president for the council, which again, my bosses let me be in that role. Because it doesn't just help our county, but it helps veterans, and that was our mission. We've gone to several homes, helped clean them out. If they were hoarding at all or having some cleanliness issues, we've given people rides from far destinations that weren't even in our counties, not even in Central Oregon. We've brought them in for therapy and to where they needed to go because they were a veteran in need. We've helped sometimes with certain rent or little emergency stuff. We're the last ones on the list because we don't have a lot of money coming in, but when the time comes, we have something and can usually make a difference. We have a lot of experience within our council. Like I said, there's counselors there, there's government, there's all sorts of folks, and it's a really cool thing. I also do the Central Oregon Health Council has a work group, and I'm specifically the work group that I'm a part of deals with behavioral health and accessibility. There's mostly clinicians, counselors, health departments that are a part of it. I'm none of those things. I'm not a counselor. I have no training in that. But we do deal with people that have mental health problems. I am trained as a trainer for mental health first aid, which is a really cool thing. I can get into that after. But they had no veteran representation within this group. And we believe is because they thought, well, the VA just is taking care of everyone. And little did they know that they're not. Not taking care of them as well as what we would like. So we're bringing that. And there's another counselor in her business and nonprofit. They're there and they're all veterans. So we bring in, our perspective, and they're blown away because they just find it hard to believe that our group is having the problems and accessibility issues that we have, because it does cross over on so many different areas for the elderly and for people of color and so on. I help in other groups too, with Warrior Impact, which supports Save a Warrior. As you know, Save a Warrior is just an amazing group. They've saved, I think they're over 1,000 lives or so now. And it's just, they just keep growing. Such a great group. I don't know what more I can say, but just wow. They really are.
Maybe you could share a little bit more about, I know that, say a little more about Save a Warrior, a little bit more about what it is and what it does.
Save a Warrior being the unique animal it is, it's basically, from my perspective, it's a PTSD detox. As it's been described, it's highly intensive, 4.5 or 5.5 day program. And people go in, they've attempted suicide that day maybe, or have had attempts, or they have addiction issues, or maybe they don't have any of those things, but they still have had trauma in their life. And they go in one way and they come out because of the equine therapy and the different things they do, which there's so much. They come out totally different. They're transformed. It's not, how does Jake say it? It's not a club. It's not a vacation. It's a transformation, and you've got to be ready. And they put you through the ringer to make sure you're ready, because if you're not, it's a waste of time, and it's a waste of a space of someone that is ready. And
is it mostly for veterans or who can participate in this?
So they've focused on veterans, military, first responders, EMS, fire. Eventually, you'll see them, branch out to everyone else. I think I would love to see that as a far-reaching goal, but for right now, that's all it is. And God knows we've all seen trauma, all those areas. No matter if it's a vehicle accident or something overseas within the military, it doesn't always have to be major like trauma, like a friend passing or whatever. It could be something else. It could be military sexual trauma, which is a major problem. And you've got post-traumatic stress from that. It's a real thing. And
so Warrior Impact is, maybe you could share a little bit more how that kind of connects with Save a Warrior up in Oregon.
Sure. So Warrior Impact, formerly the Scotch, they, on a yearly basis, they would put together a golf outing and dinner in support of Save a Warrior. This year, after everything was all said and done, they cleared about $100,000 for support, which would put, I think, 3 cohorts through. That's what it comes roughly through, and that's going off the Ohio numbers, because there's a place in Ohio and a place in California that they run through right now. But yeah, and that's, looking at around 30 people going through and 30 lives saved, that's, you can't put a price on a life. And it's great to see people so willing to support such a great organization like that.
Wonderful. So Adam, maybe you could share a little bit of, if you would like, some of the challenges of working in a rural area. As a veteran service officer and a veteran working with veterans in rural areas.
Absolutely. So in the community here, the county is very small. We only have one incorporated city, and there are only 9,000 people in that city, roughly. So definitely very rural, and a huge challenge is trust. When they come in, they expect things, and sometimes you can't give them those things. But when they come in, we are very confident in what we do. We've been doing this long enough for all of us. We stay up on things. We have a lot of training, not just within the state in our regional and monthly stuff, but we also have gone to our national conference, which last year was in Cleveland, Ohio, and just learned as much as we could from there, from the different attorneys and different people within the VA. And when they come see you, they are lost. They don't know what to do. They half the people don't know how to use a computer, or they don't like using a computer. And luckily, we're good at that. So we have a conversation, we get a signature from them, and usually, well, whatever you think is best is the answer we get from folks on when we ask them what they think. And we remind them that it's not ours. This isn't our claim. This is yours. But we will also support them in what they do and tell them and explain it fully. I would do it this way for these reasons. This is what I would think is best. And give them the full picture and not just say, well, you need to do blank, because that doesn't instill trust and bring them back. And that would push them to other places. And then other issues, going back to mental health is a very, very tough thing. There's a lot of stigmas around it, especially in an older community like this. A problem that we run into is people aren't willing to see mental health professionals. So sometimes we will have them come in on a certain day when we have one of our clinicians there from like the vet center, and they'll maybe just have an introduction with that counselor, and then we'll leave that door open for them to take that next step and choose whether or not to follow through with counseling. Or they might say, you know what, I'm okay. I don't think I need that. We have some that are on a lower rating for mental health that go and probably don't really need it, but it helps, and they're doing pretty good with it. There's others that are a higher rating or on, in the scales and stuff, and could really use it, and they're obstinate, especially the Vietnam era guys. But in the end, when it comes to mental health, you got to leave that door open for them. It's their choice. If you force them and push them into it, they're going to push back even harder, and you're going to lose that trust you've already built. And it's usually got more negative consequences than positive. Which goes back, and like I was saying earlier, being trained in mental health first aid, we can, and some of the other stuff within our staff, we can look for the signs and symptoms and we can put it in our language. Like, well, do you do this? Do you do blank? Do you do these things? And like, well, yeah. I'm like, to everybody else, that's not normal. To us, it might be, but to your spouse, to everybody else that didn't serve, that's not considered normal. And they laugh because they know it's true. And then you explain that you can still do some of this stuff, but you work them into an understanding a better part of the process of managing, since there isn't exactly a cure for this stuff, for post-traumatic stress or any of the depression disorders and stuff. But they can help you get to a point where stuff's managed better and you can do things more and get out more and be more a part of the world that you used to be a part of, maybe, where you're not now. You've withdrawn. And it's worked on a few. We've been pleased. Others are just a little obstinate, and it takes time. But you just talk to them, give them the respect of who they are. It goes such a long way.
Well, that's wonderful. Adam, there's many different areas where you're serving, definitely in the community. Is there anything in particular that for the future that you're thinking of, or right now you're full plate?
Yeah. Well, I'm it's a little off, and yeah, I do look forward. With everything that's been happening in the last months with COVID and stuff, and the lacks of response in some areas and lack of responses from community leaders, that's where I'm looking first, is how can I help that? How can I change that? And the only response I can come up with is by being a part of it. So as I move forward, I'm going to start looking at the different committees, within my city. And from there, start looking at possibly city council. And as that grows, look at possibly a state representative to help make better decisions, more common sense decisions, and just keep serving. I've enjoyed it over the years. I want to keep doing it. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we look forward to seeing how it goes as well. And thank you so much, Adam, for coming
Absolutely.
and sharing with us.
Thank you.
Thank you.